I guess we are live. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of the FPL Variants Pod. This is me, FPL Tips, and I'm joined by my co-host Mihir. Uh, Hi Mihir, hi. So the agenda for today will be covering our teams, what happened in the game week to us. We'll be doing a preview of game week 6, and we'll also be covering rotation. Should we go big at the back? Is it time to change our formations and the structure? And we're going to discuss captaincy. Our pod is powered by Fantasypedia, your one stop solution to all your FPL doubts and contents. The link is in the description below to all your socials, so do check them out. They're powered by Opta and they have really good stats and compilation of stats. They're easy to read as well. So it should help you in your FPL journey if you want to become a good manager. Anyways, Mir, am I audible? Yeah, let's dive into it. So
How was your week?
I mean, we discussed on captaincy that I'll be captaining Haaland and you'll be going Salah, but ended up going the other way around where you captain Haaland and I captain Salah. It was a bad watch, man. Uh, I mean, the only bet I took that the fact that Salah could be involved in a goal or assist, like two involvements, and Haaland wouldn't be involved in all the goals City scored, and it just went the other way around.
I don't think it was that bad of a swing because in the end, if we don't count, like if you had Salah captain and you had Haaland versus if you had Haaland cap versus Salah, it was
Yeah, I mean, it did gain me rank. If you can see a red arrow here, but I think it isn't a red. With Andreas coming in as a sub, it will go down to a green eventually. If I check it on live FPL, it should be about 10,000 ranks in green. But yeah, still disappointing. I think if I had capped Haaland, I would have been back in the top 100k, and that's the difference. The difference is still huge in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, it's there. How was your game? You captain Haaland, so it was fine. So there isn't much to add in your team. But yeah, there's another thing that I did which was amazing. I took Dunk, and he scored an own goal. Yeah.
a goal, which was a quality finish. But got a -1 pointer.
Mir,
Sanchez.
I think your audio was not connected. So you were telling about Estupinan and how I talked you into taking him and you took him and I didn't take him and I took Dunk and how you ended up with a +3 there as well. So yeah, go ahead again.
So we do the opposite things to each other in this pod. Like he suggested Haaland cap last week, and I suggested Salah, and we ended up going the opposite. And the same for this. Like
It
you,
was just sad. I mean, I took a bet. Yes, I took a chance where I thought if Salah can score if he scores equal amount of goals, then I'm fine. Then if he's both of them score a brace, then I'm in fact if Salah scored 2 goals, I would have been +8 points essentially, and it went totally the other way around. But again, yeah, Estepinian he was looking good, dude. He's there in those places, and I should have gone for him. I took Dunk. Yes, I do get the points from Andreas, but again, an own goal is always he scored 3 or 4 odd own goals for me till now in my FPL career. I wouldn't be surprised if he's on the bench for me and I don't play him this week.
so guys, make sure if Anshuman transfers his dunk, you should bench him or sell him as he loves getting an own goal for him.
It's happened, but and it's not happened like he scores in 10 game weeks. He scores a one own goal, which is okay for him. He scores an own goal the very first 2 weeks I get him, and that's just then I just remove him. That's how it works.
You are unlucky player, it seems.
Yeah, it seems there are. Anyways, we'll jump into the topic and move ahead. So all of us had heavy defenses eventually. They're expecting some rotation ahead. The majority talking point at the moment is Robertson. And we look into the stats for defensive data amongst teams. You look at Liverpool there, they're not high up the list. They're there. I mean, they're not in the top 3, 4, but they're still fifth. So they're not conceding a lot of chances. But the problem I have with Robertson is he has I think less than 2 or 3. I think no, yeah, he has zero big chances involvement. He has chances created. He's there high up the pitch, but he has no big chance involvement, which is what problem is problematic to me. So he's not racking up numbers as he was at the end of last season. And I think we need to slightly change the perception. Yes, he's there high up the pitch, and that's probably a tactical change as well. So they're not using Robertson to create like stay wide and create more chances, but using him as a body in the box so that there's more. If there is a cross, there's more target in the box. But again, he's not getting involved in big chances.
I am actually surprised at your stat that he has zero big chances involvement because on the eye test he has been getting a lot forward in the box. Like at sometimes he is actually playing as a forward in the box. But on your point that he's not delivering to the price point, I kind of agree. Despite me being huge propaganda for Robertson before the start of the season, because for a similar price point right now, like Robertson was 7 million when the season started, and right now similar priced attackers like if we move the money from defense to other parts of the area where we can invest, like in attack, like there are many other assets emerging, like Ivan Tony, like he has been super consistent for the season, but had two blanks, but now goes on a really kind two fixtures like Leeds and Southampton. Alexander Isak, the new Newcastle signing, who impressed in his Newcastle debut versus Liverpool, should have arguably had two goals, but it was a marginal offside call. And those were quality finishes by him too. Also, there is the ever consistent Mitrovic this season, who loves to ruin the clean sheets of my defenders. He has ruined two clean sheets for my defenders so far in 2 weeks of Arsenal and Brighton this week. So I hate him, and I just know once we get him, he will start blanking on the game week 8 wild card. And I think the money could be spent better by also downgrading Robertson a bit. I like because Liverpool at the moment, as we can see from the chart here, are not right now in the top four defenses for XG conceded, and are actually not even in the they are not the top defense like they were last year. And even last year, Allison was bailing them out at times when they consider a lot of chances. But I think due to the injury of Matip, this was a bit more like extreme in the last few weeks. But I think the value could be spent better elsewhere in the short term, as most of us will be looking to wildcard in game week 8 or game week 9 due to the compulsory wildcard in game week 40.
So, I mean, I agree with the point that there is an opportunity to spread funds and go there. I don't think there's anything to add. Liverpool have looked shaky in defense. I mean, yes, the defensive numbers say they've conceded 10 big chances only, but that's almost 2 chances per game. And it's not a good record for a team like Liverpool, who we expect them to be more solid. And it's probably to do the injuries. But again, if he because on the other hand, Trent is providing value. He's good on bonus. He's creating a lot of chances. He's top for chances created amongst defenders, and he is doing well. So I think there isn't a necessary need to double up, especially now you have a chance to switch around, and this could be a good game week if you have two transfers to maybe probably, and you will have early news, probably even early news. If you look around, you might find early news for Liverpool. So if maybe there's a chance of Robertson getting benched, an odd chance, which I don't think will happen, but maybe a 1% chance he gets benched. That's more of a reason to go downgrade him. And there are plenty of options available. There are people in form. Zaha is in form. There's Mitrovic who keeps scoring goals. There's Isaac who looked great yesterday. Can't complain. So yeah, there is plenty of opportunity of going around. And in terms of other big guys, I think James should get better. I think despite Chelsea, I mean, let's just touch upon Chelsea as well. They've not looked the fact that James is very attacking is true, but Chelsea have not looked good defensively.
I think I completely agree with the Chelsea have not looked great defensively. I also wanted to add to the fact that Mendy's shot stopping, I don't know what's going on with him right now, but during the Leeds game, he considered a stupid goal. Even versus Leicester, a goal that was disallowed from the corner. Like he went to claim the ball, but somehow mishandled it. Like it was a soft foul, which I think was pretty lucky, which got given, and it shouldn't have. So it was another mistake by him in two successive games. Also, in yesterday's game versus Southampton, I think he could have been better. And I think there is a lot of uncertainty there. Like you have signed Fofana now. So will it be Fofana, Koulibaly, and Thiago Silva at the back, or will it be Reece James at right centre back? Like I don't know why Tuchel does it, but he's like always plays Reece James at right centre back, which is not good from a FPL point of view. But I am a lot worried about the Chelsea defense because I haven't seen a like promising things. Like I had doubled up on James and Cucurella thinking things would get better, and went Cucurella over Perisic, who has like thrown stuff
Huge
out of the
upside, yeah.
water.
Yeah.
Yep, and they haven't just delivered. Like I think it's time to move on if you are planning to wildcard in game week 8 because West Ham won't be a easy fixture for a clean sheet. And after that, I think it's the game against Arsenal or Liverpool. Oh, sorry, Liverpool after that.
Yeah, and just to add, so people who've not watched the Southampton Chelsea game, first of all, there's not a lot to dig into the game. Southampton's pitch is horrible, so keep that in mind once you're looking at fixtures. Southampton away isn't an easy fixture, not because Southampton are good, because the pitch is so horrible that you can't play football on that pitch. Secondly, if the stats might not say this, but Chelsea cleared two chances off the line. So that could have been easily a 4-1 that day. And Chelsea do not look strong. Yes, Fofana will add to the depth in terms of Chelsea's defense. But if you have a double up, maybe you have a Mendy, Cucurella, James. I would still hold James solely because of the fact that I believe Fofana will play centre back and James will be pushed into a wing back role. And the cycle goes on. So it's just similar. It's either 1 2. It's either 0 1 or 13 for him. Is that's the cycle. So hopefully there's a 13 coming on. But I wouldn't hold on to a double up. I don't think it's a good hold because of the fact that we do not look strong. Yes, we will improve, but I think you can take that call in terms of assessing for the next 3 weeks because we have time before the wildcard and they have good fixtures beyond that as well, and then we can judge that how good or bad they are.
Also, another defender I wanted to talk about, the one we discussed in the last part. Do you now think Cancelo is worth the 7 million?
I
His
mean,
fourth
he
goal
gave
this
me,
week.
he scored a brilliant goal. Uh, I won't complain. It's fine. Till the time he's getting me points, I am totally fine. Especially this week, I think is more important. Yes, there is a thing where I mean, he should start, so there's no chance of him getting benched, I think. And that is what I want from my city defender. Give me decent amount of points, dude. My game week was murdered if he didn't score that one.
Let's get
Anything
into
else
the
you
next.
want to? Anything else you want to touch upon the defense? I think the weakest
I think
defense
we
I can see
covered
is
most
Nottingham.
people's. And the another thing is, I don't think. Do you think Perisic starts versus Fulham now that he has played 90 minutes versus midweek, 90 minutes versus West Ham midweek?
Okay, so I'll touch upon that. Just confirming, just letting going through this. If there's anything at in terms of defense, Villa are poor. I think the teams to probably target are still Nottingham, Bournemouth, Fulham, Aston Villa, and Everton. I'm not sure about Everton. I don't know. They set up deep and they still tend to concede chances. So I'm not very confident on targeting them because it will become an essential topic when we talk about captaincy later on. But yeah, I think there is no disparity in terms of what we see on pitch and the stats. It all looks the same. Tottenham again, people are considering them to be very attacking. They have been not that great in terms of attack, but defensively they're good. They've conceded only four big chances and an XG of 3.2, which is great in terms of after playing 5 games. And they look like a team who's having that approach where they want to defend first and they want to like attempt and score as much as they can on the counter. So just keep that in mind.
Yep, I am actually considering Sessegnon as a 1 week point for Cucurella if he is predicted to start by Paul O'Keefe. But let's see, it is one to consider like close to the deadline.
Okay, I mean that's a good segue into our next segment where we discuss, I think, Lego Mane's chart. Thank you, Lego Mane, for allowing us using this chart. He makes up all these great time difference charts where he gives you the rest period
Visual
between games.
representation.
Yeah, and it has great visual representation. So if you haven't checked him out yet, which I don't think so you have, but anyways, if you still haven't checked him out, go check him out at his Twitter handle at the rate Legomane underscore FPL. Okay, so this one's important. We've done game week 5. This one's from the previous game week. I think we've completed game week 5 almost. We've only one game left. But as you said, Perez started 90 minutes. Do you see him starting or not? Uh, I wouldn't be surprised if he's benched. I mean, that's an obvious thing because of the fixture they have next week. But again, a lot of talk around that he's now fully fit and he's the first choice defender. But that doesn't convince me. If I didn't, I've not bought him. I've not bought him till now. He had one haul, but I've not bought him. And if you are in the same boat, I wouldn't buy him solely because even if he doesn't start this week, this is probably the easiest fixture they have in the next three, and you want him here. Then they have City and they have Leicester eventually, so I wouldn't buy and go near him. If you had him, that's the conversation we want to have. So Mir, if you had him, do you see him starting, or do you want to sell him for someone like a Trippier? How would you go about?
Well, I had the choice to bring him in this week, but I purposefully decided not to bring him despite us getting the leak confirmation that he was starting this week from Paul, because I assumed that as they have only a 3 game week turnaround between West Ham and the Fulham fixture, I think there is a very high chance of him being benched versus Fulham, as they have a very important UCL tie midweek next week and the tie versus Man City after that. So I think I would be very surprised if he starts versus Fulham, as from what I think, after him starting Nottingham Forest game and playing 70 to 80 minutes there and playing the full 90 minutes versus West Ham, I think a rest is imminent for versus Fulham, as we have to consider his age also while comparing the minutes. And I don't think Ryan Sessegnon is that bad of a deputy to come in. Like, he started the season really well, then had a bit of a dip in performance, and Perisic came in versus Wolves. And then he has been great, but I think a rotation is imminent for Perisic.
I mean, the only problem is with that Session did not have good games when he came on as a sub, and in general, I mean, he had a great game first up. The first match he was very good against Southampton, but again, if you look at the Tottenham fans, if you ask them, if you look at the forums, he hasn't been performing according to them, and that is the issue. Another point to add is that Fulham is at home, Marseille is at home, and there's a 4 day gap between the games. So if you ask, if is there a possibility of him playing 60 minutes? Yes, there is. Especially, and it's also relative. It depends on how Conte sees it. If he wants to be in the title challenge, I think he just dropped points and he will want to win those points back again. It could be the other way around as well, where he doesn't come on, they don't need him and they win Fulham easily, which is obviously the more likely outcome to happen. But I think don't jump and sell him right off just because there will be a rotation. There is not a necessity there will be a rotation. He can manage 60 odd minutes and then have 4 days of rest and manage again. Because if you look, there was a quick turnaround this week, and this week just he still managed 90 minutes despite there being less rest for him and less recovery period for him. That just states the fact that he isn't that unfit as we deem him to be because of his age, and he's actually decent, pretty fit. Because for most players in the world, it's very tough because the turnarounds are about 70 odd hours, and they managed to like play him 90 minutes that game as well. So even if I
Yeah,
don't see him starting, I see him coming on for sure for 20 on minutes again.
I actually agree with your point about the fitness part, but my main point of thinking was that they don't need him. Like, they don't need
Yeah.
to risk him versus Fulham, and they like kind of need the first time team versus Man City and the UCL game. So that
Yeah.
was the main thinking of me thinking that he will be benched versus Fulham.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't. But again, if let's say we just cut it down short to that, if you are a passage owner and you have news or you think he doesn't start, let's say you have news he doesn't start, but you know he'll be coming on for 20 odd minutes. Would you hold him or sell him?
I would sell him.
And who would be your first choice replacements for him?
A Man City defender.
Okay, I mean, I would sell him as well. I think my first choice defender would be Trippier. I think the fixtures they have is incredibly good. The fixture run, so yes, if not they if you look at Newcastle, yes, they have slightly deteriorated from the first 2 3 games, but again, I still bank them on because they have a decent squad. I still bank them on getting more clean sheets. And Trippier looks, and whenever there's a free kick near the box, you know that It's always that nerves that comes in, but Trippier could score that game. So
I
my first choice would be Trippier.
I actually think that the Crystal Palace game will be tricky for Newcastle with regards to clean sheet prospectors because the Crystal Palace game is at home at St James's Park. But Crystal Palace have been really impressive this season, especially Wilfred Zaha. Like he has been the man on form for them, and even against Man City at the Etihad, they scored quick 2 goals, and they were impressive in that game. Like in the end, Haaland scored a hat trick, and in the end they lost 4-2. But at the start, they were really impressive. So I don't think that game will be an easy clean sheet, but I think yeah, Trippier will be a good pick because he also has great attacking threat through the free kicks, etc.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm targeting. Yeah, I mean if you can go, the problem with Manchester City defenders I have is that now everyone's fit. Ake is back, Stones is back, Laporte will be back later on. Walker is there. There's Sergio. There's Cancel obviously Diaz. So you and Pep can play in a system where Ake is left, there's Sergio left, Cancel right. So you're not sure who starts where, and that's my problem with the budget, like the cheaper ones. If you can get a 6 million defender, then it's okay. Then it's fine to go Diaz.
Yeah, that's a fair
Or
point. Like Man
yeah,
City is every time high risk, high reward.
yeah, that's there. And it's not like, I mean, yeah, there is high reward. Obviously, there's 6 points, but that's, you're also going for certain non-attacking players in terms of Manchester because you can't afford Cancelo. You probably have Cancelo otherwise, and the other ones are not that attacking. Just to put it in context, yes. Any other rotation risk? So now we touched upon Tottenham City since we're talking about Manchester City defenders. Rotation. What do you think?
I think the City defense will be quite stable for the short term because Laporte, like as you mentioned right now, but Pep in his last presser mentioned that he will be fine around game week 9 for Man City. So I think in the short run, Stones and Diaz partnership is set to stay because Ake also he said he might be fit, he might not be fit. So it was a bit of a like a mixed reaction from him, like if he will be fit in his last press conference after the City game. So
Yeah.
even though this has signed a new centre back, Akanji from Dortmund, I don't think he will be put straight into the firing line. I think it will be Diaz and Stones for the Aston Villa game, and then based on that, based on how the UCL game goes, he will decide on the future lineup. So I think the Diaz Stones, Cancelo, and Walker back four is quite safe for the Aston Villa game.
But let's put it out for us listeners. I mean, yes, there's defense, but there's only 2 days of recovery. So maybe in defense, yes, I think Stones and Diaz are pretty nailed on. Cancelo should start. I'm not very sure on Walker because as far as I read, you mentioned Ake, but I think Ake was training that last game week and he was totally fine. So pressed after the match, I think Pep mentioned that they're fine and they're okay for next game week, and they'll like check them if they are okay and everything. Late fitness test as it stands, but again, the attack is what we want to talk about. There's Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, Mahrez, Grealish, maybe if he's fit, Foden, Alvarez, Haaland. The big Haaland. Do you see him starting?
The famous Pep roulette, where you always try to predict it, and the big man always throws a curveball. I think Haaland, there's a good chance he starts and plays 60 odd minutes and gets subbed off after they have a decent lead or the game is already over. Because even in the last game, like despite him scoring the hat trick, I thought he would be subbed off early to save him from the Aston Villa game. But he played 69 minutes in that game. So I think the last 21 minutes rest will. I think he is likely to start the next game. Also, given the fact that Alvarez played the 90 minutes, so I think it's very likely that Haaland starts but comes off early.
So you think Haaland starts?
Yeah,
I mean, I agree on that. There is a chance that Haaland starts. And if you look at his running as well, I think even LR on Twitter mentioned this. He has high presses, but he's not running a lot of minutes. In terms of ball progression with ball on the feet, or basically total distance covered with ball on his feet, he's even lower on the rankings than Edison. Does just say that he's making a lot of runs off ball, but he's not running a lot with the ball. And yes, and he ran about 5-6 kilometers last game as well. So in terms of recovery, it shouldn't be that bad.
yeah, and like I saw a stat yesterday from Pras, like he tweeted like Haaland had one touch in the game and that one touch was the goal.
Yeah, he had the first two touches were goals.
Like
The
that's
first, I think,
exactly
the
what
first
we
two
want
touches
from
were
FPL.
goals. Yeah, yeah. And I hope, but again, we'll discuss this in captaincy in detail. So you're expecting him to start, and I don't think even if he's not starting, I think let's just put it out. I don't think he's a sell. I absolutely don't think. But a lot of people were discussing this as well. Maybe let's take a 1 week punt to get in Kane and then get Haaland back. I don't think it's worth it. He's basically too good in terms of he's too bullish, he's too strong, and even if he plays 30 odd minutes against Villa, a team who will defend deep. And I think I was reading a thread by Alex on Twitter as well that the fact that Villa have traditionally defended a lot more deeper against City than they do against other teams. They traditionally set up in a 4-3-3 like they do, but defend deeper. And if I had to predict, I'll mention my predicted 11 in terms of City, who I see starting. But again, I see Haaland playing 20 odd minutes in this game, and I wouldn't remove him.
I
I
think
wouldn't
the
remove
best
him in this season. I think it's permanent. I think Haaland is permanent. He's a new permanent player for us.
I think the best captaincy this week is Kevin De Bruyne actually because I was really surprised that he got benched versus Nottingham Forest, and I think he's pretty nailed on to start the Aston Villa game. And I think Aston Villa are a bit of a mess right now at the back. Like Arsenal should have had a lot more goals, also should have had a penalty. Like I don't know how
Yeah.
it wasn't given on Saka. Like and also Saka missed a 2 yard tap in and blasted it over the goal. So I think versus Man City, I think it's going to be again a long night for them.
I mean, so in terms of rest and everything, who do you see starting ultimately in the front six? I think Rodri is probably because Philip is not completely fine, so I see Rodri continuing. What about the other
So
five?
front for the front six, like I think Haaland starts. Behind him, I think Kevin De Bruyne and Gundogan will be it. As during the last two games, both have been rested for one game, and Bernardo is the one who has played 90 in both games. So I think he will be rested for this game and play in the Champions League. And for the wing spots, I think Foden will continue his consistent starts for Pep. And the other wing, I think it's a bit of a tricky situation here because I think the mortal enemy of FPL Twitter, Riyad Mahrez, will be the one who will start and will likely back in a brace or something. Like I have a
Yeah,
nagging feeling about Mahrez starting, but then again, Pep always benches Mahrez.
I can see Mara starting. I think it could be something of a false line situation, especially if Bernardo is not playing. If in case Bernardo is playing, it could even with Bernardo it could be a false line situation. I think that could be a very tactical approach that Pep probably tries because he wants to rest Haaland, or maybe you see Ford because Foden was out of earlier. I think he starts. So Foden probably whoever starts Haaland or Alvarez, Mahrez on the right, Bernardo and I mean, if Bernardo stresses Gundogan, Rodri, and Kevin De Bruyne.
Yep.
But again,
So
I wouldn't sell these City assets even due to the short turnaround. I think just hold them. If you have a double defense, if you're a double defense owner, would you sell it? No, right?
no,
Yeah,
absolutely not. Aston Villa, like I don't think Aston Villa are in the right place under Gerrard right now. I
yeah. And
think
if
Gerrard has a lot of things to do. Also, the injury to their new centre back Diego Carlos such early on in the season doesn't help. So I think they are still like it's the odds of a clean sheet and the probability of getting one are really high for Man City versus Aston Villa. So I wouldn't consider selling him.
okay, we'll just touch upon other quick turnarounds. I think Manchester City is the has 2 days of rest between the next three games, so that's a very this one's very tricky. Liverpool also have a short turnaround between game week 5 and 6. Everton again, they've early kickoff. Do you think everyone starts?
Yeah, I think actually the Liverpool team won't be that rotated because their next turnaround between the Everton game and the Napoli game is actually a big one because during that game versus Newcastle, like despite it being a tough game, I think the Everton game is also a big derby and Klopp like right now doesn't have that many options to rotate with. Like Darwin Nunes will be back this game, so maybe Firmino drops to the bench, but I don't think the main FPL assets, Salah, Trent, Robertson, or Luis Diaz, will be rotated because Diego Jota is not back yet. He's back in training, but I don't think he's back enough to start the game.
Yeah. I agree. I don't think Yota is fit enough. Also, since you mentioned Darwin, the fancy Liverpool toy that's going to come back into the FPL reign. If you have news that Darwin is starting, would you consider getting him?
Yes, I have a Liverpool spot open.
Yeah, I mean, I'm considering him too. This is interesting. I hope we get early news for Darwin, but yeah, I think Liverpool. I think most of them start. I don't see. Yeah, again, the only position is obviously Robertson, where you have a very good replacement in terms of Simicast. and he's the only doubt, and that is why I discussed Robertson could be rotation risk. But apart from, I don't think they have a huge bench depth at the moment in terms of they can't afford a rotation.
I
Um,
think we will also get some sort of early leaks from them as they are the early kickoff. So
yeah,
maybe keep
could
your
be.
eyes open for the early leaks on Twitter.
I mean, guys, we don't do that. Shout out to everyone who does that, especially leak lineups on Instagram and Twitter.
Yep,
So you
yep.
can check out those pages. There's obviously FPL Rockstar. So probably and Paul O'Keefe for the Tottenham. So these are three guys you need to follow. And sorry, Sam Martin for Leicester. I think I've not mentioned. A lot of people don't
Yep.
mention him, but he also gets a lot of news. So do check out these people on Twitter. We don't do that. You can check. We do retweet if you want to, but again, original sources will always be them, and you should follow them irrespectively. Again, short turnarounds. I think Manchester United, but we're not mostly interested. They have a tough game against Arsenal coming up. West Ham look poor. I don't think any other team interests me apart from these big teams in terms of rotation.
Yeah, well, the way FPL has priced the assets, I don't think we have many assets from the like mid-table teams right now.
No.
So I think most of our assets are from the top five teams right now. So I think once the season starts getting slowly underway with rotation, I think we will be a lot intrigued by the other assets like Tony, who are 90-minute men, or Mitrovic.
Yeah, I mean, I was just checking Brighton's duration, and they've about 3 days, 4 days, and that's fine. I think Potter is the only one manager I'm worried usually in terms of rotation. He does bench. He abruptly rotates his team at times, so that's something that I was worried about. Anything to add, Oya Miri, Mihir, or should we move on?
Yeah, I think we should move on to the preview of the next game week.
Yep. So we have the next game week preview over here. Okay. Any important games you want to take us through?
Everton versus Liverpool. I think that's a prime Salah captaincy game.
Again, do you think Salah's X minutes is what drives you? I need to listen to myself more nowadays. I think Mihir and X minutes is. I think X minutes is with Haaland. If let's put it out. I think the way he's playing, every touch is almost like a golden touch for him, and he's scoring goals of like bare minimum touches, and it doesn't matter for X. He's making a joke out of X minutes, to be honest, and he's on pens as well. So
I think Haaland and Salah are basically locks for most people. So I think it will be a debate for most weeks till we wildcard about who you are captaining between Salah and
yeah,
Haaland. So I think both of them have great fixtures, but I think Everton is a bit easier than Aston Villa right now because I don't think their defense is that great. That like I don't think Everton's defense is better than Aston Villa right now. So I
but
think that's why.
do you
That's
think
why
Liverpool's
Salah
attack is that good? Do you think Liverpool's attack is that good?
no,
So
actually,
because I think
I,
Everton will, I wouldn't be. I don't think Everton will go all out attack. They will set up deep. Lampard knows to do that, and Lampard. The first approach Lampard will take is set deep, go with a back five, like go with a 4-5-1 situation or a 5-4-1 situation, and don't let them score a goal first.
I also wanted to firstly add to the first point of Salah versus Haaland first because before I address this answer, like Salah is a midfielder, so he will get extra points for a goal.
Yeah.
He will also get extra points for a clean sheet if they keep one, and that benefits usually in the long run because even though Haaland scored a hat trick and Salah didn't score a goal and just got two assists, the point swing was only 7 points. So I think Salah has an advantage there to be considered as a captain. On the
I
second
mean,
point,
the advantage, if you ask me, as the Salah captain this week, is not that good.
yeah, well, the minutes thing in it.
Yeah, go ahead. Second point.
On the second point, even if Everton settle up in a back five or a back six or a back 10, I think Trent Alexander Arnold has the creative spark to unlock it. And also, a player from Liverpool that has impressed me a lot in this recent few games is Harvey Elliott. Like, he has been a really
Yeah.
great creative spark among them. Like, I am really impressed with how he has settled in. Like, last year was his breakout season, but due to his horrific injury versus Leeds, he had to go off. Like, had a long absentee, but this year he has come back into the team. And with Thiago out, he has really made a claim on the starting 11 spot.
Yeah, I think that's there. But I'm still not very convinced in terms of Liverpool's attack. But I have something on mind in terms of Darwin. And if I go there, maybe let's that could be captaincy. But again, it is one of the fixtures you want to target this week.
Yep.
You can't ignore the fact that it's an easy fixture for Liverpool.
Yep, exactly. They are in the end, on paper, they are top two or top three in the league right now.
Yeah. Okay, next Brentford Leeds. I personally think now that people are switching around with Rodrigo out or they want to switch around Robertson, I think this week if you had to pick someone, I would go Tony. He's been dodging points heavily, and all of us know that he does that. He had done that in last season as well. But again, this is a game where Tony could come in because Leeds are open at the back. They concede a lot of chances, and I think Tony over, especially over Mitrovic this week. Mitrovic doesn't have an easy game. Again, I'm reinstating that Tottenham are not a bad defense. They are a defensively first approach team, and I think this week Tony could be better. Maybe Isaac, if he's fit, he could be better. And both of them are Tony is 7.5, Isaac is 7, and they're expensive. But again, they might be providing you more points this specific game week.
I actually completely agree with the Tony point because he is one of the players that I'm looking in to shift the Cucurella money into attack. But I'm not convinced yet because I think Leeds have improved a bit from their Bielsa days, but are they the same team Leeds that they aren't the same Leeds that we saw 12 months ago. I think Marsh has done a good job at tightening their defense up, but I think there's still a long way to go. But I think just it's that nagging feeling of switching between Tony and Isaac, and the one you go for blanks and the other one falls. Like it's the nagging feeling.
I mean, they're still conceding about almost two big chances per game and an XG of 1.5 per game. So it's not very bad, but it's still decent enough that we can target, like we can pick players against them. It's not like they're a very solid defense.
Yep, agreed completely.
And talking about Leeds, Rodrigo, what do you do about him? What are you doing about it? So I have Rodrigo, and obviously it's a sell. He will take about 3 weeks to get fit. That's there. And I'm looking at two options, majorly Zaha and Gross. So what are your thoughts on
Yeah,
that?
actually, I was really close to bringing in Rodrigo this week, and I couldn't afford it due to the price rise. So I got a bit lucky with the injury, but I think he's a sell right now because Jesse Marsh confirmed he's out for 3 to 4 weeks, and due to that, I will be selling. Like if you want to keep a lead spot in your team, then I would go for Brendan Aronson. Or if you want to switch it up to a different team, I think Zaha is a really good pick, as you mentioned.
So I am looking at Zaha, and some people might be able to afford him, some people not. The other option is obviously Gross, which is a downgrade and easier option. But who do you go for? Both of them decent fixtures. Brighton have a better run of fixtures. They're second on the ticker from now till 9, and Palace are 6th or 7th. But again, Zaha has penalties. He's not great at them, but he has penalties. What would you do about it? I mean, would you take a chance on going Zaha or probably someone like an Almiron, as the chat is saying?
I would go for growth because I don't think Zaha, if like it depends on when you are wildcarding. Like I assume you are wildcarding, like assuming you are wildcarding in game week 8 to 9, then the only three fixtures left for Zaha are Newcastle, who have improved a lot from January, like one of the top defenses since January window. The second fixture is Man United. Yeah, despite us being like we know we are like not good at defending, but we aren't the team to target right now. And Casemiro will be a great signing for the
Yeah.
defense. The
I don't
next
think
game,
United are the team to target. So that plays in my mind. So Crystal play United next year at home, and I don't think United will be there to concede points or like drop
yeah.
points and concede
And
points. Yeah.
the last game after that is Brighton, and then you wildcard. So I don't think it's that attractive if you are wildcarding in game week 9. But if you are wildcarding later on, then after the Brighton game, there is a Leeds fixture which is good for the attacking numbers. Then Leicester, Wolves, Everton. So those are fixtures you can target, but I think he will be a transfer in then rather than now. So I would prioritize Gross right now because he has great fixtures till the game week 8 to 9 wildcard.
So my thoughts on basically Zaha are similar. So I wouldn't add anything there. There's nothing to add from my side. But in terms of growth, I saw the Fulham versus Brighton game, and Brighton are back to what they do the best. They dodge their XG. And that is it. They were doing that despite Gross being very high up on the pitch. He had minimal XG. He was not involved in terms of lot of chances created or big chance involvement is also zero. It is a problem to me. So I do see Gross as a very good finisher. He looks like taking form. He's on set pieces. But again, I'm not convinced with the stature of the player. I'm not convinced in terms of he is a potent goal scorer. Is what And that is why when I had choice earlier on the season as well between Gross and Rodrigo, I chose Rodrigo because he's the man who's taking more shots. The problem with Gross is he's not taking enough shots. And he's not enough inside the box. So that's always an issue in terms of he's scoring wonder goals, but again, he's not directly involved in terms of scoring goals.
Well, in the
But
end, he's priced at 5.5 mil. So I don't think we
he's
can
five.
keep
He's five
high.
point nine Mir now. He's 5.9.
So I missed a few price rises. So he was priced at the same price range as Bai and Neto, who have been huge disappointments, and we should compare him to them. Like I think the main reason Brighton also missed a lot of chances was the failure of having a natural forward in their lineup. Like Danny Welbeck didn't start for some reason. Like I don't know the exact reason for that, but Welbeck was a huge miss for them at the game. So if he would have started, like I don't know if it was a mystery injury, like he is injury prone as we know from previous years. But if he is back for the weekend game, then I think Gross has good potential because they missed a focal point in attack during that game.
Yeah, I have another player to add. Before we do that, we have about 15 people watching. Sorry to interrupt, but please hit the like button. It really helps it to push our content to other people, and it helps the algorithm realize that we're doing a decent job. So if you're new to the channel, please subscribe as well, and do hit the like button. On that, two more players I think I want to touch upon. Leeds, obviously, there's Harrison and Aronson. There's Sinistera as well. There are three players. But do we go to Leeds is a question. And
I
second,
think
I think. Go ahead, Mary.
I think Leeds are a good option if you're game week 8 wildcarder like me because their next few games are Brentford and Nottingham Forest, which are from an attacking point of view good games. And I think it's worth targeting as they are cheap options. And I think I have been really impressed with how Leeds attack this year under Marsh and their patterns. Like I'm also interested in Bamford and like after the press conference, Jesse Marsh mentioned that Bamford is ready to start at the weekend. So that low-key puts a doubt in my mind if Sinistera and Aronson are nailed. But this
Yeah.
weekend we saw that all four of them started. So maybe it's not a concern in the long run.
And I was even reading, so Gelhard or even Greenwood is an option for them. I'm not sure on Senesera and Aronson because I don't know how nailed they are. Harrison is obviously an option if you want to go Leeds again. But and the other option is Almiron or Saint Maximin if he's fit. So we don't know if Saint Maximin is fit or not. So that's something you want to watch out for. But again, about between Almiron and Saint Maximin, I would go Saint Maximin. I'm not very keen on Almiron.
Well, I think Saint Max is a great FPL pick, but I am not sold on Almiron as you say. I think he is like a great presser, a great tactical weapon to have in games for Eddie Howe. But I don't think he is a great FPL asset because he is a great presser of the ball. But I don't think he has the end product in him to be a great FPL asset.
But I mean, the other option I think I'm considering is switching out of money, going for a forward. I really liked Isaac. The fixtures are good. I think Tony is an option, so that's a thing. So in totality, the top three replacements. If someone has to go for midfielders,
The midfield replacements for me, the top three would be first would be Gross as he is cheap and he will allow you to upgrade the other positions. Sorry, the first one would be Martinelli if you don't have him for some random reason. Despite him facing us this week, I think the rest of the fixtures for him, like Everton and Brentford before we wildcard, are really great. And the other after that would be Zaha and then Gross because I have considered it below 7 million.
okay. So my first would be I still would go Zaha because of Pence. I think he still can score on counter attack. I would take the odd game against United. The second would be Gross, and the third, if I had to consider, would be someone like a Harrison. Okay, we'll move on. Chelsea West Ham. I don't think there's much to add. Avoid the Chelsea attack if you have money. Take out Chelsea defense money. Probably hold James. I would hold James. There's news that he's back in training and he's fit. So if you are a James owner, you want to hold him and wait for more press conference news.
Do you
We
think
covered.
Fofana starts?
Don't know. He's training with us. So looking at our team, he should be starting.
Because
I think
last few games, I have been thinking like Chelsea don't have a wing back, so James should be starting at wing back. So, but then Tuchel played Loftus-Cheek at wing back. So that's the thing in my head. Like even if you sign Fofana, will he play wing back? Because I
I mean
think
he
he's
will. He
our
will.
best attacker. Like so, he
He will.
should be playing at wing back. Like I don't
And
know
he
why
was
to they
playing.
picked
He
him.
was playing centre back only because we did not have a replacement. He's fast, so it always suits a tactical fast play. It suits the tactic to have a fast right centre back. But I think he starts if Fofana starting right. James should start being back, and that's a hold for me. Newcastle we've covered on extent. If you can get Isak if he's fit, there's a dead leg situation with him. He's 75% available, so check out on that. We've talked about Zaha and Crystal Palace, Nottingham, Bournemouth. Okay, I want to touch upon this. Do you want to start Neko? If you had Neko, if you're in a situation, and we did not touch upon Nottingham Forest players as Rodrigo replacement. I personally did not do that solely because yes, they might look appealing. Gibbs White, Lingard, both of them. Personally, Gibbs White better on stats. He's got more penalty area touches, more shots inside the box. But again, Nottingham Forest are still second bottom in terms of attacking stats. So, and I don't want to go there.
Also, another thing to point out during the attacking assets, like I just now saw that they have also signed Michi Batshuayi for their attack. So there is
Again,
another
21.
attacker. Yeah,
That's that
21st
21
signing.
signing.
Yep. There's another competition in that attack. So now they have Batshuayi, Dennis, and Brennan Johnson for the forward spot. They also have Morgan, Gibbs White, Lingard. Like they have a lot of competition for these places. So we don't know about this X minutes. So I think they are a wait and watch for me personally right now, and I would be getting on them later. And Bournemouth are a avoid for me right now because I don't think they look great. They also sacked their manager Scott Parker for like random reason. I don't know why. Because they won the only game which they could get points in and lost against top six teams. Like I don't know what more the Bournemouth fans like the Bournemouth board wanted from Scott Parker. So I think it's a fairly good award right now.
I think yeah. They might look very appealing on the fixtures, but again, since they're not good in terms of attacking, I wouldn't jump on them just because they have good fixtures. There's no data to back it, so I'd rather go for a player who has more data. Like there's data and looks like a better option. That is why I'm more keen on going someone like from Newcastle, Palace, or maybe go back to a Leeds player.
Yeah,
Bournemouth.
that's
But
fair enough.
again, my question: if you had Neko, would you play him this week? He's top on matrix in terms of defenders. And even in the Nottingham Forest team, he's top for most matrix as well. Would you play him against Bournemouth?
I wouldn't. I don't think their defense is great because the primary thinking of me while picking the defenders is, despite all the attacking returns and all the attacking threats, I consider the clean sheets to be the primary thing because from a clean sheet you get 4 points, and if your defender creates enough chances, he will also get bonus points. So that will be a potential 7 to 8 pointer. Whereas if he gets assist, let's say he's super attacking, he gets assist, that's a 5 pointer. But the clean sheet is the primary thing which is missing. Like even if he doesn't get attacking returns and is a solid center back, I prefer that personally. But in the end, it's about the play style which you prefer.
I wouldn't play him if you have a better defender who has a better chance. I have a similar decision. I have Dunk and Neko. So if you're in this situation, I might consider playing Neko because I don't know if Dunk keeps that clean sheet. But again, if you have a better defender in terms of getting clean sheet odds, I would play him over Neko.
Yeah, I would also start Nico over Dunk as I think every Leicester game starts at 1-1.
Yeah. So moving on, we have Spurs Fulham. I think this could be a game in terms of targeting Fulham. They don't look that good in terms of defensive. Conceded 14 big chances, I think, if I'm not wrong. And
I think this
yeah,
is the
they've
game
conceded
week where
14 big chances.
Spurs rotate also. But we will get the predicted lineup predicted from Paul O'Keefe. So keep in mind them because I think Richarlison will start this game for Son or Kulusevski or even maybe Kane. So we will need to keep an eye on that because the turnaround is short and the UCL game midweek could be the one which Conte prioritizes as Fulham won't require Spurs to be at full strength. Like no disrespect to Fulham fans, but I think Spurs are the better team here.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. We expect Spurs to win, but can't deny the fact that Mitrovic can score this game. If you had the chance to buy in Mitrovic, would you buy him?
No,
I'm not
I
keen
would
on
buy
it.
him on the wild card. I would go for Tony now and then switch to Mitrovic on the wild card as fixtures are king.
Okay, so we're expecting not a high scoring, but I think it's an easy win in terms of numbers for Spurs, and they should be winning this game.
Yep.
Wolves Southampton. I checked out the Bournemouth Wolves game highlights. Dull game. There's nothing. in terms of offering from Wolves. If you still have Neto, sell him Southampton. A lot of people are still considering James Ward-Prowse as an option. Do you think he's an option?
I think he's a great option for a draft league where we have to hold players for 38 game weeks. But I don't think he's a great option for FPL terms because just for the fact that we can't predict his returns well. So if you want a player for 10 weeks, like the glue guy, for you don't want to sell him no matter what, then only I would consider getting James Ward-Prowse. If you want to attack the fixtures, I wouldn't get James Ward-Prowse.
But considering him as a Rodriguez option, no, he's not there.
I actually haven't checked their fixtures yet. So after this game week, who do they have?
Okay, so after this week, next week they play Brentford. Game week 7, game week 8, Southampton play Villa away from home.
I would
So the
consider him.
fixtures are the fixtures aren't bad, and the fact that a lot of people are not considering him is also a situation. Southampton's attacking data isn't that great. That is what puts me off him. But just a fact, if people are considering him, he played as a number 10 role against Chelsea. So
Yeah,
that's
but
something
in
you
the end,
want to
it's
do your own
Chelsea.
research in.
So
Yeah. So,
in the
but
end,
I'm
it
not
was
very
only
keen. I'm
Chelsea.
not very keen on going James Ward-Prowse, to be honest.
I think it's a fine pick if you want a just a punt. Like he's in the end will be a glue guy. He will consistently take over. Like the
Yeah.
potential of getting a massive, like a mad haul like Luis Diaz who can score a hat trick is low for James Ward-Prowse. But for him to get 5 pointers, 6 pointers will be quite good because he's quite good at corner kicks and Leicester are quite good at corners.
Yeah, and Leicester are not. I think they don't play Leicester this week. Southampton are good
Oh,
on
sorry,
corners.
Southampton are good on corners.
Yeah, I was just thinking if they play Leicester because Leicester are poor on set pieces.
My bad.
Yeah, but anyways, I'm not very keen on James Ward-Prowse only because he's not got huge data backing him. But if someone wants to consider, can go there. Villa City, we've discussed this in depth in terms of
Yep.
rotation, how we expect Villa to set up and City to attack this game. Brighton Leicester, we discussed Gross and Dunk as options. Estupinian again should be fit. He has just a knock. If someone
I
went
don't,
there,
I am not that confident on a clean sheet for Brighton in this game, but I am still starting Estupinian as my other defender has a tough game, which we'll touch upon later. But I think I am relying on an attacking return again this week, as I think Leicester are a good attack despite their poor defensive numbers. I think they are a pretty good attack because Vardy, Barnes, Madison, it's a good attacking force. So I don't think it's likely that Brighton get a clean sheet, but I am just hoping that Estupinian gets another one of those dodgy assists again, or Dunk
yeah.
doesn't score a own goal.
I mean, I might not consider. I might consider not starting Dunk, and that's about it. Madison is back for Leicester, so that helps.
Yep,
United Arsenal, United fan Mihir. Do you expect anything out of this game? It's going to be low scoring game in my opinion. I don't think it's going to be very high scoring.
I think it will be. I think both sides will score a goal because I don't think, like, I think the Arsenal defense can be got at if Ronaldo starts because I think Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, no matter how good Arsenal have been, it's not denying that they have had a good fixture run until now. And we are going to be their first test of the season so far. So I think if we view this game in isolation, I don't think it will be a very easy clean sheet for Arsenal. So I am going to consider benching Saliba, who, despite him getting a goal and an assist in the last 2 game weeks, I don't think he has great attacking potential. So I am thinking of benching him for Estupinian as I think we will score a goal. I think I don't want to be biased here, but I think us scoring a goal will be very likely.
Okay, so probably the last question. A lot of people also have this. Ramsdale, if you have him and a free transfer to Burn, would you sell him?
Yeah, I would sell him.
I agree on this. I don't think if he's not getting save points, he's not getting bonus, and other keepers, sorry, have that potential are already doing that. I think there's better value in terms of those
And
keepers, and you
also
should switch.
Arsenal defender is available at 4.5, 4.6, Saliba,
Yeah,
whatever his price is right now. So you can cover the clean sheets from that. And he also has attacking potential, some attacking potential. If he
yeah.
finishes like Mahrez again.
Okay, we'll just move on, touch upon captaincy quickly, and there's not a lot in terms of captaincy this week. Where is the captaincy matrix? Yes, there it is. Captaincy dilemma.
I think it will
Uh,
be Salah land till game week 8 will be all white.
you're captaining Salah?
Salah land means Salah plus Haaland.
Okay.
So it's like I don't think the captaincy I don't think if you want to go a bit risky, then I think Kane could be the play. But there are he could be easily substituted early into the game if Spurs are comfortable as they have key UCL time midweek. So there is a bit of risk, but with Salah and Haaland, you know that they play for the top two teams in the league. Like Haaland could get this week and the last week we saw one touch, one goal, two touch, two goals. So there is huge potential there, but the minutes are a worry. So I think it's between Salah and Haaland, the tried and tested in Salah and the new shiny toy in Haaland.
I mean, yeah, for me, as of now, it's on Salah, just because of the fact that I'm not sure Haaland starts. If you look at his XG per 90 closely, his XG per 30, if you divide it by 3, is almost as equal as Salah's XG per 90. It's crazy. It's crazy numbers. Uh,
He
his
is
shots
quite
on
good,
target per
isn't
90
he?
is 2.8. 2.8 per. I mean, look, it's just straight math. If you look it up, straight up at it, and you can see it, he's just racking up almost thrice as much as Salah is. So that's the difference at the moment.
Agreed.
Yeah. And even at big chances per 90, three big chances per 90, where Salah is about point 0.8. If you have Kane and Salah, then where you go? Would you go Kane? No.
I would go Kane in that case. I would it depends on what Paul O'Keefe predicts in his predicted lineup. So if he predicts that Son, Kane, Kulusevski will start, then I would go Kane. But if Son is not starting and instead Richarlison is starting, I don't think the chemistry between Kane and Richarlison is the same as Kane and Son. So I would
Yeah.
maybe diverge from the Kane captaincy and go safe with Salah in that case. But if he's starting for Kulusevski, then I would consider Kane captain because
So
I think
I
Fulham
think,
is the best team.
yeah, and I think it's, if you have Kane, I'd probably go Kane. This is probably the game week you want to captain Kane if you have him. And if you're taking a 1 week punch, so if my captaincy would be Kane if you had him, if not Salah, and Haaland would be third. I don't. If there is news that Haaland starting somehow, if you have some sort of news, I would go there. But again, I wouldn't take the chance on 30 minutes order. 30 minutes the risk. There is a genuine possibility it starts only 30 minutes this game week. So
Just to put
Salah,
you on to just to put you into the context, in the fire, would you captain a defender like Trent or Reece James?
no,
Because Trent,
I can I
the
am
clean sheet
considering that I
potential
wouldn't.
for
Yeah, the
yeah,
clean sheet potential is high.
yep. And we saw his potential with the attacking returns a week before where he got a 17 pointer. So would you consider captaining Trent considering that you also said right now that Salah's stats, attacking stats don't look that great. So would you consider captaining Trent versus Everton, who likely won't score?
So again, Salah's stats look great. They just don't
Yeah.
look great in front of Haaland's stat because Haaland is a monster. And I am considering captaining Trent, but I am not a manager who captains a defender. I think it's too risky. Unless it's a double game week, I don't go there because one odd corner free kick and your game week's down the drain. So no.
Yep, a corner like Douglas Lewis this week.
Yeah.
Directly a ghost from a corner.
Anyway, so we on both are set on Salah captaincy. If you had Kane, I
Yep.
would recommend going Kane, and Haaland would be a vice captain for me this week.
So let's
Okay.
get into the last bit of our teams and then go
Yep.
into the Q&A after.
Yep. We have your team first up.
So in my team, so should I read it out or
Yeah,
just
please.
go ahead?
I mean, if you could read out your team for our
Okay.
listeners as well.
So my team was in goal Nick Pope, who got a -1 from a last-minute conceded goal. Trent Alexander-Arnold, who is pretty much a lock. Cucurella, I am actually looking to sell. Estupinian, Cancelo, Saliba, Martinelli, Salah, Kulusevski, Jesus, and Haaland captain. And on the bench, I have Ward, Andreas, Da Silva, and Arthur. I am looking at probably selling Cucurella and funding a move to Tony or Isaac this week. So I don't think the value is in defense this week as I already have Nick Pope and I don't want double Newcastle defense right now with Trippier because no
Yeah.
matter how great they are, going double defense this year doesn't feel right because all of the great options so far right now.
Yeah, and I agree. I would walk and talk you into Isaac. I think if he's fine, he just looked phenomenal. He
Yup,
has the ball on his feet. He carries the ball well. And even before he played yesterday's game, I was talking to a friend, and I think Isaac could be a good option. And he's more direct, I think. So over Tony, yes, I
yup.
think I would prefer him.
Also, another move I am considering, which I think will get a lot of stick, but I
Mm.
have considered Kulusevski to a Man City mid if Paul predicts he won't start. So there is one to look forward, but I am hoping he starts as Fulham is a pretty good fixture for attacking returns.
So I will bring up my team next. I think I'll bring up my team next, and yeah, there is my team. I have Ramsdale in goal, Trent, Dunk, Cancelo, James, Gundogan, Rodrigo, Martinelli, Salah, Jesus, Haaland. On the bench, Iverson, Andreas, Greenwood, Williams. So there is a problem. I think Ramsdale could be, he should be fit. I wouldn't rule it out, but if he's not, there is an issue with that. That there's James, the injury issue or sickness issue. I have unfortunately Dunk. Trent Cancel is totally fine. Gundogan is. I'm in a mix in terms of should I hold or sell Gundogan. Rodrigo will go out for sure. I think Gross or Zaha. I'm point one short of Zaha, so I wouldn't go there. So probably it's Gross, Rodrigo or Gross. The other move I'm planning is probably Salah to Diaz, Greenwood to Darwin if I have news. And I will play Neko Williams over Dunk for sure. That's there on my mind. That's about it, I think.
Dunk and your mortal enemy.
Yeah. I wouldn't risk it again. And I think that if there's an haul for Williams is probably burnout, so I will take the odds and take the chance.
That's fair enough. So I think if I was in your position, I would likely only do the Rodrigo move because I think Gundogan starts this week and Bernardo gets rested. But in the end, as it's with every Pep lineup, it's always hard to predict. So
Yeah.
wait for the press conferences.
Yeah, let's see. Obviously, I'll make the moves after the press conference. But yeah, that's where I am. I'm not ruled out a possibility for wildcard because this game week isn't that bad in terms of wildcarding. I think I have made a couple of drafts and I like them. So we'll think over that as well.
So will we have a wild card stream if you do decide to do?
I mean, let's see. We could do a Saturday early stream if I wildcard or maybe near the deadline. But again, it depends on if I decide to wildcard because I think there is a genuine possibility this game week to wildcard because I have a lot of fires to put out. I think I'm not sure on Gundogan. I can take a 1 week punt on Kane over Haaland. James, I can get news. Ramsdale could be switched. Dunk could be switched. Rodrigo could be switched. And maybe if there's news of Darwin, I can switch Salah to Diaz Darwin, and that could work out as well.
Yep, that's fair enough. But I think most of the doubts of your team will be cleared out till the deadline because I think
Yeah,
James is back fit. Ramsdale will be fit, I assume. But I think the only worry in your team is Rodrigo. So I wouldn't work on a wild card. But in the end, we are going to go to the
but
stage where the
don't
wild
you
card
think there's
stream.
an upside? Don't you think there's a genuine upside in terms of doing wild? I know there's an upside in game week 9. Obviously, you have more news, you have more games. But how I see is that are too many players different from my game week 9 wildcard and now. So if it's almost going to be same and I'm going to be on the same track and the fixtures are good. So Newcastle, for suppose, have great fixtures from now till the end. So I will have 187. I will have a structural change now as well, then as well. And that is why I'm considering the fact that I should wildcard. But again, I'll see.
I think the main issue there is the main like the best fixture this game week is Spurs versus Fulham. So I am assuming if you wildcard, you will go with at least two Spurs players to attack that game. But the main issue then is next game week they have Man City. After that they have Leicester. After that they have Arsenal. So there are two tough games in the next three after Fulham for Spurs who have the best fixtures this week, and Arsenal who have tough fixtures this week. Man United, a top six opponent have good fixtures next week, who are Everton and Brentford. So that's
Hmm.
the main issue for me.
Yeah, I mean, there won't be a lot of change. I think there will be one, two, maybe three, four, five, six, seven, eight changes in my team. So it's not it's a decent balance. It's not like a lot of changes, but again, 8 changes can make impact a lot. It can do a lot of impact in your team. So I have to make a decision there.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and we'll go to the Q&A. I think we've covered most of it, and we'll take up questions on the chat. So guys who have also mentioned a uh, lot of my questions earlier in the chat, we'll also take them up as well. I think Kash Chaudhary had mentioned a big question, And there was one from Siddharth. I'll take up the
Yes.
questions first. I'll read it out.
Okay.
Yeah, so Siddharth mentioned his goalkeeper situation, which is Ramsdale and non-playing. Should I remove Ramsdale since he's injured, or suggest a please suggest a 4 to 4.5 million keeper to replace the other one? I think hold Ramsdale. He should be fine. Wait for news. In case he is not fit, and you have a free transfer to burn, only in that situation consider Ramsdale out transfer. Otherwise, I wouldn't take a hit or waste a transfer them.
I completely agree. Keep Ramsdale.
I don't see a clean sheet anyway. So the upside isn't that huge. He would have hauled maybe. But again, if he's going to be fine and it's not a long term injury, I don't necessarily want to remove him. The other two games are fine after that.
Yeah, in the end, unless you have a Ward who has a ceiling of 1 point, unless you have him, I wouldn't consider a goalkeeper transfer right now.
Okay, next we had Cash. Recommend dropping Rodrigo for Mitrovic, and that's the thing. Do you think Mitrovic with his metrics should be an option this week, or should I go for someone else? And should he
I
take the
think
hit if he's going Mitrovic?
I think Mitrovic is a classic case of form versus fixtures. So, as a personal believer of fixtures over form, I wouldn't do Mitrovic for Rodrigo because I think Tony is a better option with those fixtures against Leeds and Southampton. So, I would go Tony over Mitrovic due to it.
I would go Tony or Isaac. I'm very pro on Isaac, so yeah, if you can see this throughout the stream, I'm very pro on him. But again, I wouldn't take Mitrovic this game week. He had decent fixtures. He hadn't had the toughest of games, but again, he's been performing consistently. Can't do anything about it. Uh, Again, Luis Diaz a good replacement if you had the funds to go Rodrigo to 8 million.
I actually got priced out of Luis Diaz move by point 1 today, so I am a bit annoyed by it.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard, I think, but it's the right way to do it. I think the only advice that we give to a season-long player is
Yep,
don't rush for price rises. You'll get options, especially with the pricing.
yep. The next question is, I think, by Stanley. He asked if it's worth doing De Bruyne to Salah, which I don't think if we
I
have
wouldn't.
read it right. Do you mean you want to go from Salah to De Bruyne, or do you mean you are selling De
KDB
Bruyne
to
to
De
go
Bruyne, I think.
Salah?
Kevin De Bruyne to Salah.
So I think Kevin De Bruyne is the best captaincy option this week. So I wouldn't consider selling him.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. And any reason you think Haaland doesn't start played reduced minutes yesterday? I think because the fact that they have 3 consecutive games coming up with less rest. That is why I think this is probably the game week where they can rest him. I am not saying that he doesn't start. It's a possibility he starts in play 60 only. But again, if there's any
Yeah,
game in the next 9 or 10 days where he could be rested, it's probably this one and the Wolves one.
I think it's very likely he plays only 60 to 70 minutes, but at max, like his ceiling for minutes, I think this week is 60 to 70 minutes max. Otherwise, I think it's very likely that he gets less than 60 minutes personally.
Yeah. Okay, then we have FPL fledging saying bench Rodrigo, take the price drop and start Neko Williams or rolling the free transfer. This is an option I consider as well. But I think since you're wildcarding in game week 9, there's more upside in terms of going for a midfielder who could score big points. And I think I wouldn't roll unless you have a proper plan and structure for your next game week team. I would take the chance and take him out and go for a player with a higher ceiling.
First of all, to FPL Fledgling, I would like to recommend him to go to from Rodrigo to Mason Mount because I know that he loves him as an option. Because he has been in my DMs about Mason Mount and how he is a great FPL asset, and it went to it. So I would consider going Rodrigo to Mason Mount Fledgling.
I mean, I wouldn't go as to Mason Mount. I wouldn't go Mason Mount. Being a
Yeah,
Chelsea
it's
fan, I
just
would
an inside
absolutely take him.
joke.
Again, Cash asked, would you take a minus for a Mitrovic or maybe an Isaac? He says, if you want to go Isaac or Tony, would you take a hit?
It's a tough one actually.
I mean, if you don't have a bench, yes, I would. If that's the only option you have in terms of playing, yes, I would. Otherwise, I think Rodrigo to a cheaper Harrison or a Gross, and then don't take a hit.
I think I kind of agree, but we will need to see the rest of his team before
Yeah.
asking him. The next
Okay.
question by Deep was that till when to persist with Salah as a captain. So I think I will let you answer it because I am very pro Salah.
I think I don't think he's a permanent captain. and Persist as captain. I don't. Maybe this game week again, if he doesn't perform, I am very convinced that if I don't see him performing very well, even in this week, if I have news, I will switch to Diaz and Darwin.
And that's fair
Okay,
enough. Like you will have double attack.
Dexter has sent in 3 chats with a lot of team news. So we have his team. I'll not read out the entire team. It's a pretty template team. He has two free transfers available. Planned Walker and Persist to Cucurella and Trippier. What are your thoughts about it? He has no extra funds, so what should you do? Also, he'll be rotating between Pereira and Neko. And he's mentioned his transfer plan, saying in game week 7 I need to downgrade one premium and upgrade either of the two. Also, who do you recommend downgrading given only I only need 1 and 2 million, plus it will be 2 game week 7 and 8. In game week 9 I will wildcard. So first of all, if you have 2 free transfers, if you plan that, I'll just answer because I can see his team. Uh, Decent transfers. Trippier again, as Mir mentioned, slight problematic in terms of clean sheet because of fixture stuff. I am pretty certain on Trippier. Cucurella, I wouldn't go there. Mihir wouldn't go there for sure. So maybe you can look somewhere else.
I,
Also,
I
Walker
am
isn't.
not confident.
Yeah. Walker isn't nailed to get benched. There are certain people who think in the City forums that he'll start. And game week 7 and 8, I would say wait and watch. Let see the premiums how they're performing, because 8 9 you don't have 7 8 you don't have a lot of options right away. Maybe United have decent combination of games, but apart from that, no one. So wait and watch, and take the decision closer to the game week deadline.
Well, I didn't get his whole team due to 3 chats, so I'll let you
I
answer
you
that
and you
one.
just I just go ahead.
Yep.
We have a last question by Kashi, says that his only options are straight swap for a gross or a -4 for either Zaha, Mitrovic or Isak. So I think gross for a free transfer is a decent option.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't think if there's no need to play take a hit, I don't think there's a necessity to take a hit. And yep, on that note, we'll wrap up today's
I
episode.
think I think
Anything
there's
to add?
one question from Twitter. Like there was one question on commented.
Yeah.
Like he was like FPS Shard Schadenfinder. Sorry if I butchered your name. He asked if I have a Spurs double up in Perisic and Kulusevski. Is it time to now move them on to other assets? And if yes, who are the best replacements? So I would consider selling Perisic and Kulusevski only if they are predicted, or if we get quotes or leaked lineups that they will be benched, like 100% confirmed news that they will be benched. Otherwise, I would firmly put them in my team and start them.
Yeah, especially Kulusevski. I think both of them. If they're not in the expected 11, sell them.
Yep.
Otherwise, hold this game week. This game week is not the week you want to sell them.
I think there are two new questions. Deep is asking when to make a Gundo to Diaz move. So I think it's a very tricky situation because both are very explosive assets. Both look to be very likely to start this week. So I think I will hold whoever I have.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's a necessary move to make. It's you can make it because you have a free transfer, but again, if you don't have a free transfer, don't do it.
Agree.
Yeah, and that is about it, I think. Dexter, again, if you had funds, probably try to upgrade your midfielder. Our midfield is Pereira, Kolbach, El Nini. So that's where I would recommend you investing your funds. Probably just do the only move this week, and next week you can downgrade Kane and upgrade your midfield. That's where you want to put in funds.
So
Yep, I yeah.
is that the end of the questions then?
Yeah, I think that's up. We are done with questions. Again, if you guys have made it to the end of the stream with us, please make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel. And do hit the bell icon as well. You will be notified when we go live on occasions, and especially for this podcast as well.
And we finished it in perfectly in time for the United game kickoff.
Yeah, I mean, he's happy as a United fan. Let's see how they do. Anyways, yeah. Anyways, we'll see you guys on the next pod. This is me. This is Anshuman, and that is me here signing off. Cheers.
Bye bye.
Bye.